Are you charging for your time or pricing for the transformation you deliver? Because that one decision could quietly be capping your revenue. On this episode of Profit with a Plan podcast, we're talking about profitable pricing strategies and why so many high earning women business owners still undercharge, even when they're delivering powerful results. We'll look at why hourly pricing can keep you stuck in a ceiling you didn't even realize you built, how to stop deciding what your clients can or cannot charge, and why confidence is not just a nice bonus, it's part of your pricing strategy. So, if you ever felt that you had to soften your price before saying it out loud, or second guessing your rates before the sales call, or even worse, price based on what feels safe instead of what reflects the real value you create, this conversation is for you. So on Profit with a Plan podcast, we're going to change the way you think about pricing before your next sales conversation. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you working too hard for too little profit? Well, welcome to Profit with a Plan, the podcast where we help business owners grow smarter, increase profitability, and build a company that's worth more, whether you keep it or plan to sell it. I'm Marcia Riner, business growth strategist and the profit booster behind Infinite Profit. Each week, I bring you practical strategies, expert insights, and real-world steps that'll help you grow your revenue, improve your margin, and build a stronger business. This episode is brought to you by Infinite Profit, where strategy turns into profitable growth. But before we jump in, I have something special for you. If your revenue plateaued or your marketing is just not producing the return it should, go get your free Profit Booster Growth Map. In just a couple of minutes, it helps you identify where to bring in more qualified clients and where profit leaks seem to be costing you money. Go get yours after the show at profitbooster.biz. And by the way, there's no sales call required. Now let's get into today's conversation. My guest today is Audrey Faust. An MBA, is also known as the Manifesting CFO and brings more than 25 years of CFO and accounting experience into the conversation around money, pricing, and business growth. She helps six-figure women, business owners, step into the role of seven-figure CEO by mastering both their numbers and their relationship with money. What makes Audrey's work so unique is that she combines the high-level financial strategy with the transformational tools like EFT tapping and neuro-coaching, helping her clients price for the transformation they deliver, not just the hours they work. So today we're talking about more profitable pricing strategies, how successful owners can outgrow the way that they've been pricing, and why charging by the hour may be costing you more than you realize. Audrey, welcome to Profit with a Plan.
Thanks, Marcia. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having
Oh,
me.
thanks. Me too. I think this is going to be a super interesting conversation. So I'm going to start off with something that I don't normally start off right away with. I normally like to ask how you got into this. But, I had a question about your introduction had a little bit of controversy and or contradictory in the way I was thinking. You talk about high earning women that are still undercharging. And my question to you would be, how can some women make six figures and still be pricing below the value that they deliver?
What a great question. Well, not only are six-figure women doing this, but also seven-figure. I
Mm,
work with multi-six to seven-figure women, and I see it at every level.
really?
Uh, yes, they are deciding for their clients what they think they will or won't pay. That's one of the very common things. They are not looking at the entire picture when they're doing their pricing. They're just thinking about who they are, right?
Mm,
Um, Comes to mind as an interior designer I had worked with who was at almost seven figures. And when we went into what I call the signature profit plan, which is when I work with women, we create this vision of what their business looks like in a one pager. And when she finally saw, well, she knew she wasn't making a profit. She had been in business for 20 years, almost seven figures, and was barely bringing in $20,000 a year. That's
Really?
hard to believe.
Wow.
And she was literally ready to close her business down when she came to me. And I don't blame her. Like, that's a lot of work, almost seven figures business, and you're not bringing in a profit.
Hmm.
But she was doing a couple of things. She was pricing by the hour, which somebody that's been in business for 20 years, like the client is benefiting from from the hourly rate, not them,
Hmm.
right? Because they're doing things quicker, they're more efficient, they're more experienced, they have all the things already, all the experience, all the 20 years experience that she had, she was tying into an hourly rate. And she wasn't really looking at all her overhead, right? She had a staff, she had a team, and she was taking into account some of their work, but not all of it. And until you see it all on one page, right? On the signature profit plan, until you see it all on that one page, like logically, it's hard to understand. Oh, well, I have this project manager that I'm not billing for. I have this, you know, other person, this administrative assistant that I'm not billing for. And when I'm charging, X number of dollars per hour for the interior design I'm doing, I'm just taking into account my personal time,
Hmm.
not the time of the entire staff of the business that is actually working behind the scenes, right? All the things, the billing, the accounting, the bookkeeper, all the things that create this business and business expenses can add up quickly if you're not pricing it correctly.
Exactly. That's a great story, and I'm glad you shared that because it's like we don't think about all the nuts and bolts that go on behind the scenes that when we need to price into that. Now, I've had guests on that said, "Oh, yeah, we have to price in everything that your operating expenses plus your cost of goods sold." But then I have some people say, "Well, maybe you can't price in all of your operating expenses that you have to do in it because then it maybe prices you out of the market." But I still think you have to look at the whole picture, right? You got
You
to
do.
look at the whole picture before you say, here's the project's cost, right? As well as the marketability and how competitive you are with your competition. I mean, that's a lot of pressure that comes on you when you do that, when you make that pricing offer. So when we look at that kind of information, we can look at the hard numbers and go, wham, here's the price. But then we women, you know, we're in the back of our head, right? Oh my gosh, am I worth
Always.
that? Did I do that right? Can they afford it? Right?
They won't pay that. I know they won't
Right.
pay that.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And I know for the gentlemen that are listening to us, yeah, we do go through this in our head. And it's crazy on what we price. I have a client that's doing the same thing. She's undercutting herself all the time. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So how do we factor that in when we're looking at our pricing? All the stuff that goes around and then all the stuff that's sitting on our shoulders.
Well, the first thing obviously is to look at the whole picture. Like I like to at it from two angles, right? From the logical end. That's the signature profit plan. But then there's also this mental part that goes with it, especially with women. And one person that actually just comes to mind is a physical therapist I'm currently working with. And yes, she needs to price on an hourly because that's the way that's priced. There's really no other way to price it. However,
Sure.
um, when we were doing market research in her business, I said, well, what's the highest price person? And she told me the number. And she literally said, what does she think she's curing cancer? But those are the stories that we have in our brain. Like we make this judgment about what we charge or what someone else is charging. And then we decide, right? And then often we think we want to be the lower price because that's the better thing to do. But I literally said to her, I said, well, it depends. Do you want to be seen as the Walmart or the Tory Burch, right? So I'd rather be the Tory Burch brand
Yeah.
than the Walmart. And the problem with being the Walmart brand is, yes, you will get clients, right? Because you're cheaper than anybody else in the market. But you know what? As soon as the next person comes in that's cheaper than you, those clients are going to bounce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think what I always try to wrap around is, and you brought this up in your information that you assimilate. Um what are they actually getting from you though, right? Because if I come in and I'm helping you grow your company, we'll just throw that example out there. I'm helping you grow your company, and we're in 1 year we've doubled the revenue, or we've cut the
Right.
costs, and your profitability is 50% more. What does that mean to the client? What's the dollar value or the transformation to the client? And I know you talk about this. So how do we price that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, look at your results, of course. You want to look at the market, look at your results and share your results, right? So you and I are in a similar world, right? We get fortunately, we have good ROIs with the people we work with. We get
Yeah.
to say, I've increased your profit, I've doubled your revenue. The interior designer that mentioned earlier, by the time we got done working together, her revenue almost doubled, 1.7. Her expenses, we shifted her team around. Her expenses only went up about $10,000. And she was ready to shut her business down. But we made a couple
Wow.
of tweaks. You know, we
Yeah.
tweaked her. We took now she works with um, new builds. So there's legitimate scope creep. So having a flat rate isn't necessarily good if you can't control the scope creep of the contractors, which she couldn't. So we
Right.
did a hybrid model, right? So we did this model where the design part, where she was the creation part, that was a flat rate. And then the scope creep stuff, that was an hourly rate that was a monthly amount minimum. And just by making those two changes, a couple team changes that freed some of her time up and only cost her an extra $10,000, she doubled her revenue.
See, that's
So,
fantastic. And I think
yeah,
I think that today's business owners, they often are so ingrained into the company and so deep, I guess would be the better word, that they can't see the potential changes that could be made without the help of someone like you, right? Where you come in and go, well, have you thought of this? Or what if we did that?
right.
And then everybody's even happier. The revenue goes up. The owner gets some of the stuff that they shouldn't be doing off of their plate, right? And then they're
Right.
like, oh, this is actually the way I thought it would feel, right? When I got into business, rather than going, I am so done, I'm ready to close.
Yeah. Yeah, and she was. I
Yeah.
mean, she literally came to me ready to close because she wasn't profitable and I didn't blame her. So,
Yeah.
like that's exactly right. I mean, that was a huge transformation. How do you price for that? I don't know. Like, I probably did not charge her enough for the price. The way I look at it now. But
Well, yeah. So I look at the side of adding that factor in. Well, gee, if I'm going to increase your revenue in her case by $700,000, right?
mhm,
And minus the $10,000 add on for the additional labor, but you basically gave her $700,000 from working with you. How let's kind of drill into that. If a company is doing something that's maybe not results revenue driven, but say, okay, they're a criminal defense attorney, right? I'm saving your life. What is that life worth to you? I mean, could
Yeah.
you go to that aspect of saying, well, what does this mean for you if you could X, Y, and Z? And what is, I mean, we have to value that, right? In the pricing that we're presenting to the client.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you do have to value that. It's sometimes harder to, you know, put a price tag on that, but
Sure. But it
you
should be
also
factored
can't
in though, right? Of
absolutely
some way. Maybe not dollar for
some way.
dollar, But if I'm giving you 700,000 in revenue and I'm charging you $20,000, there's kind of a no-brainer there. But where could I go where I could charge more? And or where do you think that pressure point would be? And I think that's the thing in business that is often overlooked is they're not factoring that in. They're really
They're
not. They
not.
are back to looking at, well, this is the hourly rate that goes in my industry, so that's what I'm going to charge. Hey, quick pause here. If you've ever wondered what your next smartest move should be to grow your business, well, I've built something for you. It's called the Profit Booster Growth Map. It takes only about 2 minutes, it's totally free, and it shows you exactly where you're leaving money on the table and what to fix first. Go grab it for free at profitbooster.biz/growth map. Then come right back to the episode.
Yeah. And what we did with her, like I said, was the hybrid method. So her design part, where she could do that in her sleep, and that's where we increased the price. And then the other part, the hourly rate, we actually kept her hourly rate the same, because it was market standard, but that was just for the scope creep. And we put a minimum on, right? So if the job got extended from the original 9 months to now 12 months, she's actually making more money and not less.
And not
So,
losing money on the deal because she didn't
yeah.
factor that piece in. Well, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this
So,
is this is really helpful. Figuring out how to price is, I think, the first thing that many people do, but they often don't revisit that. They've been in business for a few years. When do they start? When do you think they should start to revisit their pricing?
well, I like to look at the close rate. So, what
Mm.
do I mean by the close rate? You probably know, but maybe not all your listeners know. For as many, sales calls that you get on, or proposals you send out, whatever it is, however you do business, how many of them close?
Mm.
So close rate should be not be 100%, or you're definitely undercharging. Like I love it. Oh, when I ask
I
women
close
that
every deal.
sometimes,
What are you
I
talking
close
about?
every single deal, and I'm like, okay, we're raising your prices. They're like, what? And I'm like, yes, because you shouldn't close every deal, even though we think we want to. If you're
Mm.
closing every single deal, you're not priced high enough. So I usually
Got
stay
it.
between the 50 and 75% mark. Okay. Like you should be in that range. Now, if you're under the 50, if you're not closing 50% or less, it does not mean that your price is too high either.
Good point.
There
Good
could
point.
be
There could be
another
other
problem.
factors. Lots of
Yes.
other
Like
factors.
follow up, I worked with another, this was actually a guy, work with mostly women, but if guys come to me, I don't say no. And this guy, it was another interior designer, and he would send out a proposal and never follow up. Never. Just boop, goes out in the abyss. And assume that they got it, assume that they didn't want to sign it. So when we first started working together, first thing I had him do is go back for 6 months and follow up with every single proposal. And he immediately got additional work. Like
Mm.
maybe it wasn't that exact proposal, but they asked him for another one, and then he implemented a follow-up process. So there's a whole myriad of things that could be if you're closing less than 50%. It's not always
Got
pricing.
it.
It usually isn't pricing, especially
Got
when
it.
women are involved.
Okay, so when you look at so what you're stating then is that if you are or if you're over 75% close rate, then you should probably consider increasing your pricing.
Yeah.
If you're under 50%, then you want to see and possibly consider pricing, but see whatever everything else is in line and working properly before you adjust your pricing, right?
Right. Exactly.
Good. Okay, cool. So that's a nice window to look at. So now let's kind of get into the real problem that a lot of us women entrepreneurs and several men entrepreneurs kind of go through, which is um, they can't afford that. Or, the stuff that's going on in our head when we do make that price, that offer, right? Because I think that, I'll come in and I'll go, okay, here's what I think and here's based on all the problems. But then, yeah, I get in my head and I go, wow, I don't know if they're gonna, I don't know if they're gonna be able to, I don't think they're gonna accept that, right? I've already made that kind of decision for them. How do I stop doing that?
Well, the problem with that too is if you're speaking with them and you bring that price to them anyway, your confidence is going to come
Oh,
through
okay.
in your voice, in your posture, in how you deliver that. One thing that women do, which if you ever record a sales call, I'm sure you don't do this, but if you ever record a sales call, a lot of women might state their pricing as a question. So, like, $7,000? See how my voice went up? Like, is that okay? And
That's funny.
that's immediately going to be transferred over to the other side. And they're going to be like, well, if she doesn't believe in that pricing, why should I? You know, right? So
That's
that's
really good. That's really good. So confidence in the price that you're presenting to the customer. I think that's a strong skill to have, right? And when we're getting into that confidence, right? Even in the word, putting it with a question mark at the end. I like to write proposals before I even share anything. And sometimes, like, I may even notice, oh, I may say it matter of factly, but then I hear myself and I'm maybe saying it too fast, right? Because I'm trying to just get it out there.
yes. Get it out.
That's
Get
another
it out.
challenge I
Word
see there.
vomit.
Right. So it's going to be this and this and this and this and that.
Yeah. And the
It's
problem
crazy.
with that is your clients can't process it, right? If you're talking too fast. Your clients can't process it. You're uncomfortable in giving a price, right? And then they're feeling that uncomfortableness. Like anything that you feel, they're going to feel on the other end.
Okay.
So it's, especially if you're doing it via Zoom, right? They're going to feel that on the other end. And that's where I say practice it, right? And only deliver a price that you're comfortable with, like
Mm,
that you are confident. And another trick I'd like to share with you and your audience is what I call like creating a confidence card. So
that's what I need.
before before you deliver that price or the sales call or get on the call, have a list of why you're so amazing. All the ROIs you've gotten people, all the, all the amazing things that make you up of who you are, what you've done, your experience, your education, all of that.
Okay.
If you have a little list that you can read before a sales call, that's going to pump you up. That's going to like bring in the confidence in your pricing. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, for instance, I worked with an 8-figure or a multi 7-figure entrepreneur that got an 8-figure exit. I saved him millions of dollars. And, anytime I get in my head about my pricing, I'd be like, yeah, remember that guy? You saved him millions of dollars. Imagine if you worked on
Yes,
commission,
exactly, right?
right? So,
Wow.
so like
That's
things,
good.
things
So
like
you're not
that.
going to read that confidence card to the customer. You're going to read it
No,
to yourself so
before
that
you get on
you
the
can
call.
like pump up your energy and do that. And it's
Yeah.
so funny. I'm sorry to you salespeople out there that are going, what the heck are they talking about? Just say the number, right? There's a
Yeah.
significant percentage of people out there that feel really icky when they go to present their offer, right? They're
Yes.
fantastic at what they do. The results are amazing, but they just have in their head this ickiness that goes, I gotta say something, right? And it's so sorry to you salespeople out there that are going, "Ugh, I could have nailed that. I would have doubled my price
I'm
if I got
jealous of
that
the
$1 million."
salespeople.
The what?
I'm jealous of those salespeople. Let me tell you what, because most of us get into business, and not only do they not teach you the financial part, that I help people with, they don't teach you, you don't know sales. You're good at something and you want to deliver that to somebody. But all this other crap goes with it, right? And nobody teaches you it unless you hire an expert and you learn and you trial and error and all these things along the way. But, if you have the sales as your genius, then, I'm very jealous of you because it is not my genius. It is definitely something I had to work at. But yeah, so some things, numbers come easy to me. That's my genius, right? But sales is not. And
Mm,
maybe numbers is not everybody's genius, which is why I exist.
exactly.
So, a lot of that too is mindset that childhood programming, believe it or not. So you can go all the way back to when you were a child. So I did a neuro coaching certification and know about all the brain science that goes behind all this stuff that we struggle with. And part of it is maybe we heard rich people are mean, greedy, selfish, right? Those things. Making money is hard. Those are rich people and enter in your negative, or making money is hard are the two number one programming in our subconscious that we get when we're younger that make all this stuff so much harder. Because if we're charging more, that means we're making more money. And either A, it's not hard enough, or B, like we're going to be rich and then we're going to be mean or selfish or greedy. So
Wow.
um, we're fighting all this internal programming that's in our subconscious that we don't even know is there. And our subconscious actually runs 95% of our thoughts, and we have 80,000 thoughts per day.
Isn't that crazy? And
I
and
know.
and we just think, okay, I'm gonna think it through and logically do it when it has nothing to do with logic. It has something to do when we were 7, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Something our parents said about the rich neighbors or
Yeah, that's crazy.
something
Okay.
like that.
All right. All right. So then we can overcome this and we can get confidence or build confidence and we can get comfortable delivering a price based on the numbers of our company. And we can deliver a price based on the value that we're providing to the customer and the results that they're receiving on the other end that will make everybody happy, right? So then that kind of goes back to the woman thing that everybody's happy in this situation. I made money, they made success. It was an easy transaction. Everybody's good, and then we're all happy, right?
Let's hope so.
Okay, so this is an interesting dilemma, right? That we want success. We know our stuff can produce the success we want. And really, truly, it sounds like what's getting in the way is understanding the financials and having the confidence to deliver it. Is there anything else that we're missing? I mean, that seems pretty big as it is.
Yeah, I mean it's what it is. It's believing in ourselves. It's not deciding for the client. It's any of the programming that we're bringing into all of this as business owners of who we don't want to be. So we're like, oh, I don't want to be this or I don't want to be that. I don't want to. What was my physical therapist said? When am I curing cancer?
Yeah,
That was,
right. Well,
you
actually,
know,
you're enabling the person to go back to work. You're enabling them to have the fun things that they wanted to do, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, but again, that's a mindset that was somehow put inside her mind that we then have to dive into and say, where is that coming from?
Mm.
It's all about our worth and our value. And women struggle with that more than anyone. Did you know that we price ourselves 30% less than men? Like, that's
Yep.
sad. We're pricing ourselves 30% less than men
We're taking a 30% pay cut, right? If we were
intentionally
standing up
because we're
and
doing
the other
it.
thing, yeah, and we're doing it to ourselves, which is stupid,
Yeah.
right? You want to just shake your friend and go, girlfriend, what are you doing? Let me fix your crown. Let me tell you what you
Yeah.
can do right
Fix your
or what
crown.
you're already doing right. And all you have to do is say, believe in yourself that that's it. But I love that you
Yeah.
said if you practice this, right? You take your confidence
Yes.
card and you practice the pitch, the offer, the conversation that you're having. And if you believe truly that what you're delivering is worth that, then how come you
Yeah.
can't throw your shoulders back and say, I'm charging you, $10,000 for that, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right?
A
Why
hundred
can't you do,
percent.
why can't we do that? I don't
All the
understand.
things. All the
All the
things.
laundry list of things that we put on ourselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So when you're working with people, how do you get past that? Now that we've realized that we've done this to ourselves, how do you get past that?
Well, when I work with people, that's where the neuro coaching stuff comes in. We don't even look at the numbers. We don't even look at the profit plan that we create until we get into the mindset first.
Mm.
And um, and I hate to use the word mindset because people, oh, I can have a positive mindset. It's not really that. It
You
doesn't
can't think
really
your way through
portray
this.
that. No, no, it's your subconscious beliefs. It's all those stories running in your subconscious that you don't even know is there, right? So I like to sometimes it feels like you have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. And if you feel that way, right? If you feel like you have one on the gas and one on the brake, it's because there's something in your subconscious that is putting that brake on.
Mm.
And you don't know it's there. And you're like, why does it always feel that way? Why do I always feel like I'm doing this? People can't see my hands if they're listening, but one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. Why does it always feel like that? Because your subconscious is running the show. So that's what we
Mm.
dive into first. Before we even look at the logical side, before we even go to the numbers and saying this doesn't make sense logically, we go into what's going on that brought you here because that's the key. There is some story going on beneath all of this that has created it. You know, either you deciding for what your clients won't pay, or you're not wanting to be rich, greedy, or selfish, or you're not, all these stories, or that you believe you have to work so hard to make money. That was one I had to reprogram. Was my mom used to always say, we work hard for our money. And I internalized that as you have to work hard for money.
Mm.
So that's where we dive in first. Let's find out all these things that are going on in your subconscious that are keeping you from the success that you really truly want and deserve. And until you do that, you're going to be on this hamster wheel forever. So that's why we
Exactly.
start there. Then when we get to the logical stuff, we start looking at the profit plan and look at the financials and start making changes that make sense. Your mind is open to that
Mm.
instead of still fighting it.
Oh, I like that. So you're working on the mind first and saying, okay, where am I sabotaging myself, right? Where am I getting
Yes.
in my own way? And then, when you said, I'm like you too, I'm comfortable with numbers, as long as I have a calculator. I can't add two and two in my head, um, and then you can look at the logical stuff and go, okay, that makes better sense. And yes, I see where I'm failing, or I see where I'm forgetting these pieces in there to be able to make this much more profitable. Because the ultimate results of creating a business is to, one, find a customer, and two, make a profit. If you're not making a profit, you either don't have the customer first, or you are not, you have a very expensive hobby,
Yeah,
and you
very
need to be able
expensive
to,
hobby.
produce profit. And I mean, everything down to, the IRS rewards you for making money, right? You're helping the community, you're paying taxes, you're doing, you're hiring people, you're doing all these things. There's a reason the business is developed for it. And I think that's the piece that absolutely has to be there. You have to make a profit. So, which is
Yes.
what
And
I'm
your
all about
profit
too.
should be decent, right? So I like
Yes.
to think of your profit as something that you would make if your profit, not your revenue, you would make if you had a job, not your
Yes.
revenue. People get excited about a six-figure revenue, but
No.
what's your profit?
What
But
what's
what's your
it
profit?
what's
Is your
it when
profit
it's all said and done? What do you
$5,000?
got left?
Because you can go work at McDonald's and make more. So, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, and people are like, "Well, I don't want to pay taxes." That's a whole thing around profit, which makes me cringe because like if you're working a job, you're paying taxes,
Yeah.
a W-2 job. So,
Yeah.
just because it feels a little different when you're making paying taxes on your profit doesn't make like it like you said, it's an expensive hobby if you're not making a decent profit that you can live off of.
Exactly. Well, that's great,
So,
Audrey. Okay. So we're running out of time because this is a
yeah.
really interesting topic, and it's double-edged. So I think that's why we spent a little more time on it, because it is your head, your mindset, and the actions and your beliefs that you're thinking about, as well as the hard numbers and the logics of running a business. And so I think that straddling both sides is super valuable. But where can listeners find out more about you and how they can kind of get out of their own head, get the numbers in line, and start making that money? So, yes, you can pay taxes.
Celebrate paying taxes. Let's say that
Yes,
because that means you made a profit. Not many
yes.
people celebrate paying taxes, but the people that have figured it out do.
Good.
So you can find my website is Audrey Faust, AudreyFaust consulting.com. And at that website, if you do audreyfaustconsulting.com/pricing, I have a free PDF I made especially for your listeners. Um, Pricing secrets from an expert CFO. So we talked about a few of them here, but this is a PDF. It's not huge. It's like 4 or 5 pages long. It's got some stories, so it's fun to read. It's not all boring. And then it's got a lot of questions that you can kind of ask yourself to kind of decipher if you're pricing correctly. And yeah, there's some really good. There's the ROI, one that we talked about, but there's also some others. And also, there's a story about one of my clients who actually made a decision for someone, and then I'm not going to ruin the story because it's kind of fun, who made that pricing decision and he didn't need to and
Ah,
lost some money in the process. But anyway, so there's some fun stories in there, some questions you can ask yourself. And again, that's audreyfaustconsulting.com/pricing for the free
perfect.
PDF. If you reach out to me, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook at the Manifesting CFO. And I'm also on LinkedIn. That's probably my largest platform. And I'm on Audrey Faust on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, listeners, go find Audrey, go get this PDF, figure out what's getting in your way and your pricing way, because we all know that, I mean, we just went through, COVID, we coming out of the, into different pricing things. We're going into different ups and downs in the market. And we always, like, I hear from people, oh, well, I can't raise my price. Well, tariffs just raised your price, or
Yeah.
taxes just raised your price, or the cost of living just raised your price. But if you're not raising your price, then you're eating that, and your customers are getting a significant discount on what they're able to, spend on you. And so I think this pricing story is really something that you want to get a hold of and figure out how to improve your pricing so at least so you can be more profitable, right?
Yes.
Definitely.
And all you women out there, raise your prices 30%.
Exactly. Go right off the get. And even if you're not going to, rarely are you going to just drop a 30% bomb. Maybe you need to do it 5% every 6 months, right? There's ways to do it, but it's time to step
or
up.
New customers, right?
Yep.
That's
it's
what
time to step up for the
sometimes you
market.
can just raise it for new customers.
Yeah. Figure it out. All right. Well, thanks for listening today. I hope you walked away with some practical ideas that you can put to work right now to grow your business for more profitable and a valuable business, right? Because the business that we want today, is an asset that we can sell sometime in the future. So I want you to think about that one as well. All right, before you go, if you want a clearer path to more revenue and stronger profit, go grab your Profit Booster Growth Map right after the show. It'll quickly show you the top opportunities to grow revenue and stop those profit leaks that may be holding your business back right now. And you can go get that anytime at profitbooster.biz. And if this episode gave you value, be sure to subscribe with it and share it with another business owner who might need to hear it. And I'll see you next week for more strategies that'll help you grow smarter and profit stronger. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thank you so much, Audrey. This was fun.
Thank you.